Staying motivated is one of the hardest parts of being an artist. And a big reason for that is how we think about motivation. We often imagine it as something magical. Either it shows up or it doesn't. But motivation doesn't really work that way. It's not fixed. It changes as we change. What pushed us to create when we were younger might not work anymore, and that doesn't mean something is wrong. It just means we've grown. In this video, I want to talk about practical, realistic ways to keep your creative fire alive over time. Not quick hacks, but mindset shifts, habits, and environments that actually support creativity in the long run. Before tools, routines, or techniques, long-term motivation comes down to how you relate to your art. Your mindset determines how you react to bad days, unfinished projects, and creative blocks. A strong inner foundation makes it much easier to keep going, even when inspiration fades. There are two main ways art can feel rewarding. One is internal, enjoying the process, seeing yourself improve, feeling satisfied just by creating. The other is external, likes, views, money, approval. The problem starts when external rewards become the main reason you create. When that happens, motivation becomes fragile. The moment the feedback slows down, so does your drive. A simple way to protect your motivation is to keep part of your work private. Make art that no one else will ever see. This reconnects you with the reason you started creating in the first place, because you wanted to, not because you had to. If you want to stay creative long-term, you have to enjoy the act of creating itself, not just the finished result. That means letting go of constant judgment and allowing yourself to explore. When you stop overthinking every step and focus on experimenting, time passes faster and creating feels lighter. When art comes from a genuine place, without pressure or expectations, it stops feeling like work and starts feeling natural again. Perfectionism is one of the biggest creativity killers. The fear of making something bad can stop you from making anything at all. But improvement only comes from repetition, and repetition includes mistakes. Give yourself permission to make imperfect work. Sketch without a plan. Finish pieces that don't turn out the way you hoped. All of it counts. One powerful trick is creating with the mindset that the result doesn't matter. When you know no one else will see it, the pressure disappears, and creativity has room to breathe. Big creative goals aren't achieved through rare bursts of inspiration, but through small, consistent actions. Daily rituals make creativity less dependent on how inspired you feel and more like a muscle you can train. There's a psychological concept called the Zeigarnik effect. Our brains don't like unfinished tasks. You can use this to your advantage by making the starting point ridiculously easy. Instead of saying, "I'll work on this drawing," say, "I'll draw for 1 minute," or "I'll sketch 1 line," or "I'll pick a color palette." Once you start, your brain naturally wants to continue. Starting is the hardest part, and this makes it easier. There are two creative modes. Learning mode, focused study, analysis, effort. Creative mode, play, application, enjoyment. Too much studying leads to burnout. Studying at all leads to stagnation. The key is balance. A great approach is mixing the two. For example, do a few gesture studies, then turn your favorite one into a full character design. You're practicing, but it feels fun. Instead of thinking about being consistent, think about building momentum. Every morning, write down 5 to 10 small, achievable creative tasks for the day. Writing them down tricks your brain into seeing them as already started. Each completed task gives you a small dopamine boost, creating a positive loop that makes it easier to keep going and harder to procrastinate. Creativity is deeply influenced by what surrounds you. Your workspace matters. Surround yourself with images, colors, and objects that excite you and remind you why you love creating. Even small changes, Better lighting, a cleaner desk, or working in a new location can refresh your perspective. Whenever possible, change your environment. Fresh air and natural light can help your mind relax and open up to new ideas. Art can be a solitary activity, but motivation grows stronger when you feel connected. Being part of a creative community online or offline helps you stay inspired. Seeing others create, struggle, and improve reminds you that you're not alone in this process. Shared energy makes a big difference. Creative blocks and burnout are not failures. They're signals. They're signs that something needs to change. Rest is part of the creative process. Use high-energy days to move projects forward and allow yourself to slow down on low-energy days without guilt. Sometimes, stepping away is exactly what allows ideas to come back stronger. Knowing when to stop is a creative skill. When inspiration feels empty, stop forcing it. Instead, experience life outside of art. Try something new or unfamiliar. Shift your creativity into a different activity. New inputs create new ideas. Creativity needs space to recharge. Motivation isn't something you either have or don't have. It's something you build, adjust, and rediscover over time. What works now might stop working later, and that's okay. The goal isn't to force yourself forward, but to stay curious about what fuels you in this phase of your life. Be patient with yourself. Be flexible. And remember, struggling with motivation is part of being creative, not a sign that you're doing it wrong.
myself someday.